if one was to stay on that type of schedule for 3 or 4 years, there is going to become an extended off season because they're going to get hurt. Something's going to happen.
I was just
unless it's being mitigated,
right,
and kind of accounted for as you're kind of laying it out. Since that is the real world that's kind of laid out, then how do you lay that training out to be able to make sure the state of readiness is there? And are there competitions you don't really peak for?
Well, we'll take this year, for example, and with Trey. I mean, again, I'm just talking Trey. That's the easiest one because people know who he is. We trained for the Arnold, and now we're right into Worlds Prep, which there's a couple of events that were layovers. But here's at the bottom line. You have to continue to get stronger. You have to train to get stronger. At the end of the day, it's strongman, and you have to be strong. So, we're always trying to build those base lifts. So the deadlift, the squat, the press. He's a phenomenal presser. Like the events for Worlds, they're super light. And now it's just how fast can you get it done? And it's like 2 reps with a dumbbell, 2 reps with a bar, 2 reps with a log, 2 reps with an axle. The axle, the dumbbell is like 200 pounds. The other thing's like 330. These are warm-up weights. These are light weights for him. So, but how fast can you move through it? So that's where we're working on speed now. But he just did press yesterday. So he had his work, but then we still got to build because later in the year we got a max log.
Yeah, but if I'm globally looking at this, and now we're kind of looking at, 2 or 3 blocks that are more speed oriented instead of having to be absolute strength oriented, but you still have to maintain the absolute strength, maybe not push it as hard.
Yeah, you can't push as hard as you got to work on the speed.
Yes, but then that will flip when that other one comes, and you can bring down that conditioning a tad.
The thing is, right now, conditioning is, right now, this is the lightest he's been in a while. So you said he had a forced layoff because he tore his Achilles at the road.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a forced layoff, unfortunately. I mean, I really wish that wouldn't have happened because that would have made a whole different 2024 season.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's 2020. We can't cry about it. I was sitting with Chris Duffin when it happened because we were at the Precy Summit and I couldn't go to Rogue because I was working, and we're watching on video and I'm like, I literally, I think it was during the presentation, someone's presentation, and I was over watching and I go, fuck. And the whole thing, 100 people look over. I'm like, sorry. I'm just sitting there, just sick to my stomach. And Chris is like, dude, it's totally okay. I've got a protocol that will help him. So he did the Duffin protocol. He did Chris's healing protocol, which was, I give him all the credit. I mean, I'm not that. I mean, his that plan was great. And 6 months later, Trey's at World's Strongest Man. So and then after that, then he did a few shows and he went back to the Strongest Man on Earth and a couple of Giants Lives where he had really good success. He went 4th, second, and in the process pulling a 1037 deadlift with just straps, no suit. So it's been a crazy ride with Trey, but we just have to. It's really that's why you got to check in all the time. You got to. I hate to say this, but there's a lot of audibles, like his back was just a little tweaky. So how does that affect his training? So we have to make those adjustments.
So the programming's more this day moving forward instead of here's the meat moving back.
Well, you want to plan from the meat back,
but
you got to take into account what's happening right now. So that's we're always taking into account that. And just for Trey, when he comes and stays with me, we'll work on movement mechanics. But he lives in Lumberton, Texas, which there's a Parisi in Beaumont, and Ben Jones is there. He's the owner and one of the coaches, and he's been working with Trey. And the video he sent me yesterday, he's moving so much better. Because that's what he needs for this contest. So I think you have to adjust everything. What's this contest going to be? If it's a track meet, we need speed Trey. So right now he's down to 369. I think he should be about 355, 360 for Worlds. That'd be his best package. The Shaw Classic, he needs that robust 390-pound power machine because it's everything's freaking heavy.
All heavy, all max, all endurance.
Yeah.
Statically, yeah.
Yeah, it's static. It's very static.
Now, does the season just kind of fall out that way to allow that periodization to unfold? Because if they were all heavy, then there would be a problem.
Well, the big shows, if you look at the Arnold, it's usually pretty heavy.
Yeah.
So that was a heavy show. Worlds is a lighter show. It doesn't work out that way. I'll probably get crucified for this, but I think World's Strongest Man's become a track meet.
Yeah.
It's like
but it's in a good way, though, for those that are competing in all these. It does allow the training.
If you look at Giants Live, which is the circuit, or Strongman Champions League or any of the other shows, like they're lighter, so you can do more shows. And I think that as a professional athlete to get paid, but you look, where's the biggest titles and biggest money? Here's these 4 shows. So I just call it the Strongman Grand Slam. So you got the Arnold, Worlds, Schmo, Rogue. What are they like? Arnold's is always it's the heavy package. Schmo or Worlds is a light package, speed package. Schmo is bring out the war machine. You better bring all the guns and pack all your ammo because it's just nasty.
Be prepared for an injury if you don't prepare.
And Rogue is kind of like tweener. It's just kind of somewhere in between. It just depends on when they pick the events. So I think what's hard is just maintaining conditioning, building strength, getting very specific for the events that are coming up. Like we're doing a lot more raw stones. And Trey's a great stone lifter, but like if there's a stone off in the prelims, so if he has to do that, he's prepared. But then he's also prepared for the stone run in the finals. In the prelims, there's a rep deadlift. In the finals, there's an 18-inch max deadlift. So we're concurrent. Like I usually do like an A week, B week. Thank you, Joe Ken. He kind of helped me develop that, and so I want to make sure I give Joe the credit he has due. He's probably the greatest strength coach, one of the greatest strength coaches out there, and I. He's my coach and my friend. And
so when you say that, what I assume that you're saying is you're basically taking a 7-day microcycle and making it 14.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you got to look, you just got to keep, and then with Trey, it's his grip. So we got to work his grip, but not overwork his grip. And then you look at all these things. How do you rotate them throughout? So it's like if I had a whiteboard, I could probably whiteboard it easier, because it's like, it looks like a lot of diagrams all over the fucking place. But, we're constantly trying to make improvements and then pick the movement. What's going to lend to that movement to make it better, So it's like, and the crazy thing is with Strongman, it's not like powerlifting. You got 3 movements. So where am I weak at in that move? Let's fix that. Strongman, there's like a dozen, but you've got to constantly, I think that's the hardest thing. You got to constantly, work all attributes, whether it's top end strength endurance, or across the board your conditioning.
Well, that's where the conjugated approach comes in.
And I think that's why conjugate is the best approach, because it's the easiest one to implement. Like all these other people talk, what do you think about periodization? Like, like standard periodization to me, depending on what you're training, what are you training for? Maybe. And I said, like in the speed school with our kids, I can't have a 12-week block because he just gets in week 9 his first day. So how do I deal with him? So we keep that that's just very simple. We keep that simple. As far as my strength athletes, once we get the list of it, like hell, you don't even know the events half the time until like 8 weeks out. Yeah. Like Brian.
The 8 weeks out is generous, by the way.
Yeah. Like hell, we didn't get the Worlds events last year like 4 weeks out. How the hell do you train for a contest when you only have 4 weeks to prepare for it? And then you hammer it down. Now Brian put the events out, so we know the events for the Schmo. So people are like, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, you think I'm not going to try to filter some of that stuff in even now? Because getting that bench press, you got to be doing some type of chest pressing. Now, Strongman's more overhead. Yeah. We got to build in that chest press. A side handle max deadlift. We don't ever do that shit. But now we got to, so how do you continue? What's going to help him become better at that? At the same time, you got max stones. Well, the thing is, like, how many times do you want to go touch a 550-pound stone?
Rarely, if ever, unless you really, really want to.
Right, but then you're looking, how do you train for that? Well, you got to train heavier, but you got heavy, back off, heavier, back off, heavier, back off. So it's finding that fine line of technique, absolute strength. Technique, I mean, I look at this, like, we teach a kid. If I'm teaching you to lift, perfect the technique. The load's going to come. If we're teaching speed, learn the technique. The speed's going to come. Slow and right is right. Fast and wrong is wrong. But let's get slow and right eventually becomes fast and right. Same thing with the lifting. But like with higher level athletes, you still got to hone that technique down, and then work on stuff that's going to, like, what's going to make Trey better at pressing. I mean, you look at Lucas Hatton or Hooper. They're both very good technical Olympic lifters, so they can split jerk. There ain't no split jerk and Trey. It's just raw ass power. But like we were training, I'm like looking at him and we're doing this press, and his fucking tricep looks like my quad. And he's just that big. And then his back, like we get his back bigger. How's he pull so much? Well, look at his back. You got a 400-pound man doing chin-ups with 50 pounds strapped to him.
That's also
strong ass back.
The impressive part is realizing, because a lot of people saw Hooper overhead press with the split, right? And they're now trying to do that and get ready to do that when they've never done
Right.
that before. That is like they're trying to acquire a skill that they just seen someone perform successfully over a period of a few months, thinking that they'll get
Which
successful.
it's not enough time to perfect that
So
skill.
realizing that you have someone like Lucas that is strong statically the way he is, don't teach him something new that he doesn't know. Teach him what he does know, just make him better at it.
Right, make him better at it. Like, could Trey learn to split jerk?
Put
or
some
push
time, I'm
jerk,
sure.
or power jerk? I'm sure he could.
Yeah.
He's so much raw power. Like, I don't know, it's kind of like you got a great pitcher with a goofy throwing mechanics. You don't fuck with it. You let him.
Yeah.
If it works, it works.
Here's Trey. It's like I don't really have to fix a whole lot of anything. I mean, my biggest thing is let's just manage fatigue, manage the other shit that's going on in his life. Manage that, and he peaks well.
Well, that would be a question for the bigger guys that you're working with. Just the fact that they're bigger and just walking around, they're accumulating fatigue just because they weigh over 350 some pounds.
Yeah.
Right. And the weights that they're lifting are going to accumulate more fatigue just because they're way heavier as compared to a middleweight strongman.
Yeah.
Like 10,000 steps a day is not your 10,000.
Or a fullback or a CrossFitter, right? I mean, the load matters, their body weight load and the implement load,
right?
Which is, you'll understand this because you went through the stupid shit that I did where you just do a whole lot of everything.
Yeah.
Right. But then you start to get stronger and you can't recover the same way just because you're bigger and the load's bigger.
Right.
But your brain thinks, I need to do what I used to do.
Yeah.
Right. But you can't. Right. Then you feel like you're a puss because you can't train as hard as what you used to do. Where the bigger and stronger somebody gets, the volume actually
has to decrease.
Yeah, but the workload might still be higher.
Right.
That's what they don't understand.
Right. You've got to. I think you got to manage fatigue and build strength. And it's funny because I was actually listening to a podcast driving right here. I think you had Paul Carter, and it was like managing fatigue. Getting strong and muscular hypertrophy, they do go hand in hand, but they can also be separated. And you look at elite athletes, how much bigger does Trey really need to be? Does he need to hypertrophy?
No.
Yes, there's places maybe for injury prevention, but like you got to get the most out of that body, So it's like, how do you develop that? And it's like it's that constant check-in. I mean, I think I use a web-based program called Train Heroic, so I can look at every athlete's programming every day, and what are their notes, and I'm constantly my phone's been buzzing off the hook since I've been here. I'm sure I've got athletes like, Coach, here's my video. Can you watch this? What do I need to do different? But you look at that, then you just have to change. You kind of. I mean, I look at it like as I was like laugh because I make it football. You walk up the line of scrimmage. You're the quarterback. There's 8 in the box, and we're running a dive. We're not running a dive with 8 in the box. We're going to audible out of this. So when you're looking at coaching someone, what's the audible today? So I said, we have to be able to audible. If you're on your own, I would say it's called autoregulation. I feel like shit today. It's a max effort day. Like there's times like it's a max effort day and I'm supposed to hit this number. Okay, well, I'm going to keep warming up and see where it's at. But if it's not there today, it's not there today. I mean, that's the difference between 26 and 56. 56, well, you know what? It'll be there tomorrow. And I'll wait till next week and I'll see what I can get. Perfect example. Yesterday I got to the gym. I felt like shit because I had judged the show and I was on my feet. My knee was swollen. So I rode the bike. I flossed my knee. I warmed up really long, and I actually hit an actual 25 pound better than the lift before. That was 10 days before. So I'm like, okay, I'll take that. But it took me a lot longer to warm up to get there. And I said, that's when you're dealing with an athlete, like when you get into the workout, what's your readiness? How do you feel when you get to the training session? Where are you at? How was your sleep? I think that's what everyone wants to look, what's the magic secrets? The magic secrets they're not magic and they're not secret. Did you sleep enough? Are you hydrated? Did you eat? Are you fueled? Did you recover? Now, if you come to the workout and you're not recovered, but it's still, okay, it's the workout day. I have to train today. Okay. Well, I make a modification to the workout. I can still get a workout. It might not be that 3-star platinum one, but I'm going to punch the clock and get a workout. And I think what people have to realize, like if you had 100 workouts, 20 of them were incredible, 20 of them sucked, and the other 60 were in the middle somewhere. But those are just punching the clock. And that's where champions are made, because when the really shitty ones, it pisses you off. These, you just kind of go through it, but you have to do them. When you get the great one, yeah, man, that was fucking dude.
Yeah.
But how often do those come?
You write about it, you post about it, you let everyone know how great it was.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they won't come if the 60% of the punching the clock aren't done.
Right. You have to hit those. And I think that's what people want, these incredible workouts, or they look at this influencer and every workout's a PR workout. No, it's fucking not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He just saved that same day, and this kid is milking that same day, multiple posts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or one piece of the day went really well, and all the rest of it was crap or normal. With your own competing, I want to kind of pull in Dr. McDougall here, right? Because you were N1.
Yes.
Where
I was the test monkey.
Where you were the test monkey, to where he developed a lot of his current philosophies based upon working with you, because
and all the athletes I had at the time. On that table.
Yeah, because a normal adjustment may not be what you needed.
Right.
And you would give him the feedback.
Yes.
So how was that process?
Horrible, painful. I kind of laughed because I remember I've always used chiropractors. My parents always took me to a chiropractor, and I worked for a chiropractor in college, and it was a great dude. I owned a nutrition store. That's kind of how I got into the nutrition side of business. Was just working for Dr. Thayer and getting adjusted and stuff. And then I just remember Todd would get adjusted. I was like, I saw him like, could you? And the way he says it, he goes, sprung. I don't know if I actually said the word sprung, but whatever. I go, is there a way you can adjust me so where I don't feel fucked up afterwards? I'm going to train. Well, yeah, let's work on that. So we brought his table, and he would literally there were like 8 of us. He'd practice and shit, making shit up. Some of the stuff I get on the table now, it's like, where did that come up from? I just thought about it on something else. But it works. I mean, he's incredible at what he does. He's probably, I would say, the best at what he does. So was it? Yeah, it was very painful. Like, where did that one come? Oh, well, Doc did these 8 iterations before he got that good one, and the other one's fucking hurt. It's away. It was pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie. It was very good, but rough. I remember one time I jacked my knee up somewhere, so I'm just eating ibuprofen like 800 milligrams 3 times a day for like 8 weeks. Like, I'm like, my fucking knee hurts, but it's a long season. I've got to finish the season. Hey, Doc, can you adjust the knee? He goes, yeah, jump on the table. And my fibula was out. And he fucking adjusts my fibula. And it's like, I screamed so loud, like, oh my God. Like, there's times, like, he used to be pretty fast because I'd take cuts out and shit. I try to hit him. But he adjusted my knee. I was like, and I stood up off the table. I'm like, what the fuck, man? That was great. And it was funny. So it was at the Shaw in 22 or 21. No, it's 21. We're in Estes. And I had jacked my foot up, and I'd gone to podiatrist, and they'd x-rayed it. It's like, you have a bone spur, and if it doesn't get better, so I had to change my shoes. I couldn't use my Ollie shoes anymore to Olympic lift, and I changed my shoe. I had to change to a flat-soled shoe, those wide toe box, because it hurt my foot. I said, Doc, can you adjust this? He looked at my foot. Oh my God, how'd you do your foot? Get on the table. He adjusted. I stood up off the table. I've been in pain for 9 months. I stood up off the table. What the hell? My foot was fine. I went for a 5-mile walk the next day in Estes with Van Hatfield. We went for a hike. 5 miles. I hadn't been able to do that because my foot hurt so bad. I hate to say it, but it's like he kind of does work some miracles and shit. I mean, just adjusting people, like, wow. And
sometimes, especially with him, like, you see the kind of stuff that he does and fixes, and you're like, there's no way. Like, I had trouble believing it.
Yeah.
Until he worked on me. I'm like, okay, fine. Like, I get it now. Like, I can't argue against it anymore.
No,
but him specifically.
Yeah.
Him specifically.
Yeah.
He's taught a couple of his guys the technique, so I definitely think that's helping spread it. But yeah, being patient zero was not a lot of fun. Not gonna lie.
Well, what I wonder is, with a lot of those things, is it mitigating or is it fixing? Right? Because
I'm going to say yes.
So both.
Because I think it mitigates it at the time, but over time he can fix it.
Yeah.
Now, when I lived in Indiana, I got adjusted all the time. Now I just won't get adjusted. I will literally. I've driven to Indianapolis to get adjusted before. So I just want, if you can have him work on you regularly, it's kind of magical. So like if you're in Indiana, you can go down and see the guy like once a week. Like I would spend the money because you just can't. It's kind of like just you're going to the mechanic to tune your car up. I mean, it's nice. You're all tuned up. You're ready to go.
All right, getting to the kids. How did you get? Were you working with the kids before Parisi?
Yes. Yeah. Well, we opened the gym in 95. So I would not have been, I wasn't quite that old. I was like 26, 27. And anytime a kid would come in the gym and want trained, like I still had a job and we owned the gym. And whenever a kid would come in, it's like I would find a way to train the kid because I just think about what I didn't know or what coaches don't know. And I just wanted to give back. I wanted to help something like you got a dream to play college sports. You know, how do you have a plan? Most people, that's my dream. Well, dreams require a plan. Then you have a goal, and then you set many goals, and you just chip it away till you get there. How do you know you can make it or you can't make it? You don't. Now, a lot of people say, well, you're either born a D1 athlete or not. Like, dude, no, that's not the case. I think you can really train kids and make a difference, and you can make a difference, but they have to be D1 athletes. I mean, 7% of all high school kids are going past high school. Okay, how many of those are D1? Anybody who plays collegiately, you played in college, man. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal. And I look at that, so I just want to give kids that opportunity that I didn't feel like I didn't have. And I love my coaches in high school. They were great men, and they really helped forge who I am. But they didn't know jack about training. And actually, I laughed because I knew more about training than they did. And here I'm reading the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding and Muscle and Fitness, which was horrible.
Yeah, I know.
Not about That's not about building a better athlete. I was a meathead bodybuilder. I mean, I had my pecs looked great, my caps, my trite, whatever, but I wasn't a better athlete. As I learned how to train a better athlete, then anytime I'd see a kid, I was like, I would just find a way to train. I didn't really care about the money. And I just want to help kids develop to live that dream.